window down. So guys, welcome back to the channel. We'll do these windows up, shall we? We are in a 2005 VW Bora with a Mark 4 Golf front end. Now, a little bit of backstory. I owned one of these as a youngster. The owner of this car is actually 20 years old. Funnily enough, I owned mine at just 20. So this is sort of going back 14 years, nearly 14 years ago. I had an 03 plate silver non-Highline edition of this vehicle. So as a previous owner, I wanted to come back and experience one of these cars now in 2023, see if they're good for the money. Sub £2 car, easily you'll get yourself into one of these PD Highline VW Boras, the one to buy. We will talk about that in a minute. But as ever guys, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't for more videos just like this. Let's get on the road and see what this car's like. So, VW Bora, let's start off with the physical car. Now, owning one in the past, had it for, you know, a good amount of time, moved on into an Audi TT after that. So, very different car to that. I feel like the VW Bora is slightly overlooked in a sense from Golf owners. There's a lot of people out there that think it's a little bit more grandad, a little bit more boxy from its era. This one, of course, wearing the Mark 4 front end, does round that front end up a lot. You know, the original Bora would have been a lot more boxy on the front end. I actually quite like the Bora front ends, if I'm honest. I like the look of them. I like the boxiness. That's why I'd originally gone for a PD Bora in the past. This one though today is a PD, just over 180 brake horsepower with remapping. This one though has a fettling from the exhaust system, of course, because you don't own a PD without cutting most of the exhaust system out, if I'm honest, and putting a map on it. So as you can hear, sounds pretty good. Now the owner of this car is actually 20 years old, bought it for £1,600, and going way back, I think I paid just under £2,000 for mine 14 years ago. Very similarly priced to the one I actually physically owned back in the day. This one, 167,000 miles, and yes, it's got a few modifications on it. Drives absolutely lovely though. Yes, there's a, you know, slightly deeper tone from the exhaust. You're gonna get, you know, you're gonna get that from a cut up exhaust system, I'm gonna say. Outside look though, the bigger boot, the rear doors, you know, if you're after a car that does all of those things with the PD engine, I think that this car, based around the Mark 4 platform. Right, drop the window. There we go. 320 Newton meters of torque in this one. Again, very easily achieved from the PD engines. It sounds well good. I like straight pipe diesel, cut up exhaust system diesels. I like the sound. Torque is really low down, of course, diesel engine will do that window back up. The torque is really low down in the rev, which if you're not used to diesels can still be a bit of a shock to the system. If you're young out there and you're after one of these and you jump yourself into one, the way you drive this versus a 1.8 turbo one would be completely different. Nice surge of torque, really down, fourth gear, even just still hunkers down and gives you the power. This one at just under half a tank, says it's got about 215 miles in it. Even after, you know, not really enjoying myself in this car, you're averaging around 25 to 30 round town boot in it. This will see way over 50 on the motorway. I think I saw 55 to 60 mpg on the motorway in mine when I did own it. That is healthy numbers. Of course, if you're going to map it, they are going to change. Might even get a little bit better on a run, but it will of course go down a lot more when you got your foot down. I mean, if you're going to map a car, put an exhaust system, all these things on it, it's going to happen. This one though, inside, the main thing I'm going to say about buying one of these is Highline. Buy the Highline. It is such a nice place to be in here versus the car I had, which wasn't a Highline. So you have full leather throughout. Seats are really, really nice in this one. No crazy wear whatsoever, even at 160,000+ miles. Heated seats, which again, if you see one for 1,500 quid and there's one for 1,600 quid, and the 1,600 quid one is a Highline with all this stuff in it, go for the Highline. Steering wheel is one of the things that pointed out by the owner. He's actually got a Mark IV steering wheel in the back because he thinks they look better. Maybe I'm an old man, I sort of like this square steering wheel. I am an old man, but it's got cruise control one side on your left hand side, and then it has your radio controls the other side. This one has had retrofitted automatic headlights, which is a really cool touch. And the main thing that you have with a Bora that you didn't get in the Mark IV Golf is the cool air vents. I mean, the air vents are just the sickest air vents. I genuinely remember people buying the air vents for like £200 and putting them in Mark IV Golfs way back in the day. We're talking, you know, late 2000s, early 2010, you know, onwards. I remember people selling these on the VW forums and them being like £200. I remember it because I remember owning one and going, oh yeah, it's got the Bora vents. That's so cool. Like, how sick is that? It's got the Bora vents. Again, very nerdy VW thing that if you didn't know, or you weren't part of that weird era of early 2000s car modifying, you won't remember the VW Bora vents being a big thing in the Mark IVs. This one as well, center console exactly the same as your Mark IVs from the era. This one actually has, again, a retrofitted aftermarket stereo system in it, so full touchscreen just down here. Cool cup holders as well, because of course I like the cup holders. This hasn't got cup holders in the center. They are right here in front of the driver and passenger. You can pop your drink in there and then stow it away if needs be. So let's stop and have a quick look around this VW Bora. Again, back in the day, I had one of these, what, 14 years ago. So styling wise, I like them over the Mark IV. Maybe I'm biased because I've owned one. Mark IV front end though, does change the dynamic, I suppose, of the car. More round at the front, squarer headlights on the original Boras. Very cool, but I get why you would probably want to change the front end on the Bora. This one, I believe to have, let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong, anniversary headlights with the black and the chrome. Not too sure, maybe something cool and relatively, I'm not going to say rare, but quite expensive to actually get on these. It actually has, if you can just see here as well, the US running lights, a very cool mod that I wanted to do back in the day to my VW Bora. Coming round, it is sat on some lowered suspensions, only about 25mm on this one, but spacers on the front as well, with Audi TT wheels from a similar era Audi TT. My TT actually back in the day had these wheels on it, so interestingly, TT wheels on this. It does look right. Coming around to the rear end, obviously a lot bigger and longer than a normal Mark IV Golf. You've got this bigger rear end, but means bigger boot, so the boot size is absolutely phenomenal in these. If you're after something with a big boot and you want to P the engine, here you go. We'll have a look inside though, just to show you guys my opinion of the interior of these. Is that they are just right. So coming into the seats, Highline seats, not crazy wear, 160,000 miles. You'll of course get a lot of wear in a lot of VW products, but I feel like this one's stood the test of time. So yeah, full leather interior there, coming down to the door cards being leather as well. We will jump in and show you guys center console, because we have the center console just here with these Bora vents. So Bora vents being this, where they close off completely. I know I'm making a big deal about these vents, but they were a big deal when I owned this car. So a very cool OEM touch from VW there. Again, these air vents used to go for like £200, ridiculous. Cup holders, you can pop your drinks in there. You get a nice can in there. I feel like a Monster might sway a little bit. Little can of Coke would be absolutely perfect. Doubled in stereo and your heating controls down here. 6-speed car this as well. And again, Highline clocks just here with these silver bezels around them. I think this is still a nice car for its era. I still think it's very easy to get bits for. Coming back out the car though, let's get on the road and give my thoughts on the VW Bora. I think all in all though, the main thing to say about these is they are very good on money at the moment. The price of them is right. They're not going down. They've gone up a little bit, if anything. I think they're quite desirable cars. This owner is 20 years old. He's got a young child, so I understand why he owns this car. I completely get it. In fact, at the time when I owned mine, I completely got it. Again, they are still slightly different and maybe old manish to a lot of people, but I feel like it's something a little bit different to the Mark 4 Golfs out there. Highline is definitely the way to go. And problems are problems. It's a VW, so you're going to get the same problems you get in Mark 4s. Slight rust here and there, nothing crazy. But again, just make sure you're buying a nice car. Again, if you're after one of these, go and have a look at it. Make sure it's the right car for you. And it's got the right spec. Get a Highline, 100% go for the Highline. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the VW Bora. Would you go for one over a Mark 4 Golf at PD? Am I an old man and I just like bigger cars? Let me know in the comments below. We'll see you all on the next one.